Aloha, good morning. It's been a while since my last video. I've been meaning to, uh, my goal is always to consistently be making videos, but then, life gets in the way and we went back to work. We just kind of are getting back to normal after the pandemic that we've all just kind of been through. And so I've been working a lot, making up for lost time. But I wanted to talk to you today just a little bit about science um, and science as an argument for all sorts of things, and science as an argument being used by people who aren't scientists and don't understand science. So I just wanted to clear that up. Yes, I do have training as a scientist. I have a master's degree in, behavior science, but that did require research methodology, studying statistics, and also prior to that have a background, and I've studied a lot of the life sciences, biology, and chemistry and plant medicine. So one of the basic foundational principles of science is that it can be questioned. That is the whole point of science. That is what makes science different from religion. Okay? Religion is based on faith, and that's nothing negative, right? Nothing negative to say about that. If you have faith, that's beautiful. Uh, However, science is a discipline and a study and can be questioned. And so if you do not allow for questioning, you're no longer in the realm of science. Now you have just gone into the realm of faith, religion, or dogma. Stating that science says is not an argument. It's not. I'm sorry. That's what peer-reviewed journals are for. That's what citations are for. That's what data is for, because you need that evidence. So science is evidence-based. Okay, what does evidence-based mean? We hear it a lot. People use it a lot. I'm not sure if they understand what it actually means. It means that there is enough data, there is enough research that it gives evidence, material evidence, observable evidence, that your theory, your thesis, your premise, your idea is true. How is a theory developed? Well, generally by observing data or things in the world, things that you see, information that comes in, and based on your core knowledge or understanding of how the world works, you can formulate a theory, and that theory then becomes your thesis, right? Your idea that you set out to prove. And the way that you prove that is by measurement, by observable data, and taking observable information and testing it and retesting it and retesting it and retesting it. And it's a very long process in order to state that something is scientifically sound. If you really delve into, say, peer-reviewed journals, many of them, when you read in the conclusion, will say they will give the statistics of what their experiment gave you as far as what the conclusion is. But 9 times out of 10, it will be followed by more research needed. Right? More research is needed. More research is still needed. You need to have multiple journals in order to really, or multiple studies, right? They're reported in the journals, but multiple studies, they need to be tested and retested. That is the definition in science, right? That it is able to be tested and then retested. And then with that retesting, you get the same results as that initial testing. Okay. Now, all of this being said, there's this idea of scientific laws. And for the most part, we can say, yes, okay, gravity is a scientific law. That being said, however, our science is only as good as our methods of measurement. Okay. Prior to the microscope, we may have theorized about a microscopic world. We may have had ideas about it. We may have run certain tests, but we couldn't actually measure it. So anything prior to the knowledge of this microscopic world, any theories that were developed based on a completely different paradigm or view of the world. And that's progress, right? We come up with, or prior to the telescope, there were ideas and people could theorize and then they could measure. Sometimes, as we develop our technologies, all of a sudden now we're able to prove these ideas that are always prior to that, not always, but oftentimes prior to being able to prove something with measurement, oftentimes these ideas are considered to be, not feasible, not believable, because they seem so out of what our limited view of the world is. So just like if you get into, I guess, quantum physics. I'm not going to get too much into that. That's not my area. I've read a little bit about it. I've studied some, but if you're talking about on a molecular level, and then some of the things that are happening are very surprising. Some of the activity that's happening with electrons, wave particle theory, it's very shocking to the scientists that are studying this. So as our ability to measure information and take data, as that changes, our paradigm, our reality, our way that we view the world has to change with it. Otherwise, we're stagnant and we're stuck in a dogma. We might as well just say that religion is science. I mean, as far as I can see, science is the religion of the atheist. It's dogmatic. So in order for it to be science, it has to be questioned. And as a scientist, you have to be able to change your view based on evidence. As more evidence is presented, you may need to change your entire thesis, your entire theory. Oftentimes, people don't want to do it. They don't want to do it because their entire reality, their entire world is based on this initial premise, this initial idea. And then everything stems from that. If you change that initial idea, all of the evidence to back that idea comes into question because your original premise is in question because new evidence has come to the table. So the idea that you can use and say it's scientific. There's scientific studies. Have you read the scientific studies? Have you delved into the scientific studies? Do you know what's in the studies? And do you understand that they can be questioned? And do you understand in order for it to be science, it has to be questioned? That is what scientists do. They question the nature of reality in a materialistic way by collecting data, analyzing data, formulating a thesis, proving a thesis, testing a thesis, retesting it. And if new information comes, they have to be prepared to change their entire premise. So I want you to open your mind. It is not an input-output system. It is not stagnant. And it is not an argument. It is not an argument. You must present the research. So if we are in a debate, and I do debate from time to time with people, often on social media, if we're in a debate and you want to debate me, bring it to the table. I want you to find that original research. Bring it to me. I'll bring my research, and I want you to have an open mind, and I want you to sit down and we will compare notes. And your research and my research, that's what it takes. It takes you have a point and I have a point, and we look at it and we find what makes the most sense. It's not personal. Okay. What I see going on with debate is not debate. It's ad hominem attacks. Personal attacks. Okay. This is not science. This is not argument. There is a structure to argument. It is civil. And you argue ideas. You argue information. You can take a thesis, you can skew data, and you can create a believable argument for just about any side, okay? That is what science is supposed to eliminate by having, observable data. But that being said, you're observing it within your own construct, within your own paradigm, within the way that your mind sees the world. So there's already somewhat of a presumption. And that is why research can be biased. That's one of the reasons research can be biased. That is one way that is why multiple people need to do the exact same experiment and get the exact same, or not the exact same, but very close to the same result in order for it to be scientifically sound. Okay? So, I'm getting really tired of the nonsense and the false debate. Okay? It's not. You guys are arguing. You're arguing with personal attack. It's not debate, and it gets nowhere. It gets nowhere. Science is not a religion. Science is not static. Science is made to be questioned, and the minute you stop questioning is the minute you are no longer talking science. And now you are debating faith and religion and dogma. And yes, scientific studies that are sound scientific studies require years of research. Years. It takes a long time to set up all those experiments and retest and retest and retest. And when it's been tested enough times, then they say it's so obvious that it is now a law. And then something happens, and then you have quantum physics. Then your entire worldview shifts because now you have a more advanced way to measure information. We're never finished. Okay, science is never finished. It's an ongoing, evolutionary questioning process. So if you're questioning science, good on you, because you are actually practicing science. If you are not questioning science, but using science as your defense, you better look at yourself. Just look at yourself. If you're not open to question, then you do not believe in science. And you cannot use science as your argument. And that is all I have to say. Thank you. I appreciate you listening. And I hope to get more videos out to you soon. Have a wonderful day. Be blessed. Aloha.